There are several reasons why I simply appreciate this field rack. Yes, exactly as I said, a field rack. But why exactly do I find this particular rack here very interesting and very knowledgeable? Because of course it highlighted several things that both you and I could possibly be doing in our games, which is preventing us from running out more and from being more precise. Now, of course, in today's video tutorial, I'm going to be walking you through a step-by-step breakdown process of this rack. I'm going to be using replays, slow motions, and highlighting several things that we are possibly doing in our game wrong. And of course, moving forward, our aim is to try to improve that aspect of our game. So if this is the first time you're on the channel, do not forget to hit the subscribe button below, turn on your post notification bell, leave some positive questions and comments down below, and do not forget to share this out to your pool community. Now we're of course going to be starting off with the break here. Definitely have been quite successful over the past couple of weeks with my 9-ball break. Definitely has improved a lot, and of course we're going to be taking a look at the replay here. Hitting the 1 ball at about 3/4 ball, hitting it with stun, of course, sending the cue ball into the side rail and back to the middle of the table. Now, of course, as I said in my last tutorial, if the 1 ball doesn't go into the side pocket, you will find that it goes down table and it doesn't give you a good look at the 1 ball. So, of course, just as I predicted here, I've always been starting here with a tough opening shot on the 1. Now, these particular racks here is where you're going to find yourself having to think at a higher level. You're gonna have to think outside of the box to win racks like these. And of course, if your intentions is true, if your calculations, if you did the calculations using basic geometry of the table, then you're gonna find that a lot of the times even your bad misses or your mess ups often turns out still very good. Of course, the great Efren Batterez said that the more he practices, the luckier he gets here. Now, let's analyze here the start of this rack. Now, what I'm looking at here, guys, is a recent system that I came up with, and it's not a numerical system, it's just a field system, but I definitely have tapped in to the IQ of some of the professional players and what they're doing. Now, of course, you'll see here I'm going to have some failures, but I'm also going to have some successes as well. Now, for this particular one here, I'm very deliberate as to where on the object ball I'm hitting to send the cue ball into the safe zone. Now, there you can see that the speed was heavy, the direction was good, but the speed was heavy, and that's a complete sellout there. So that's definitely -1 point there against the Ghost. Definitely something I'm gonna have to be looking into. Now, there was another option available to go to the right side of the table instead, but it had a little bit more risk based on my analysis there. But again, as I said, the aim here is to improve. Now, here I got to look at the 1 and I tried to pot it, and on the replay there you'll see where I kind of got up in the stroke, and this is why I kind of bumped, I believe it's the 5 ball there, almost hooking myself on the 5, but I was very fortunate enough here that I still have a look at the 2 ball. So that was a risky bit of shot there in terms of my execution. Definitely gonna have to stay down more on my shots. Now, I have a really tricky combo here. Now, this is a really awkward combo. You guys are looking at it now, but it's definitely not wired to the pocket. It goes into the side rail. So I'm gonna try to play a billiard off the side rail instead of a carom here. And you can see I got a little bit close there, almost pocketing the 4, but again, as I said, if your intent is good and your execution is precise, then you're gonna get fortunate results like this. This is what players say, that you're lucky, but I believe that fortune follows the brave. Now, I'm going to be playing here a beautiful 1 rail safety where I back up the 1 towards the short rail and use the speed of the cue ball to hide behind that line of balls of clusters. So this was a beautiful execution there by Apex Elenia, and once again that was also a system that I used. In this case here I kinda use my feel and experience, but there is a system that you can actually use to really get positive results like this one here. Now, of course, good safety here deserves a good reward. Here you can see I'm looking at kicking at the 2-ball from the short rail. I'm going 2-rail kick. Now notice here that with this setup here, the potential lies where I could play a 2-rail kick, 2-9 combo into the side. So don't be surprised if I actually make this. Now my calculation is actually telling me that I'm going to be aiming in towards the side pocket here for the contact. So I have to adjust my aim here. But here's the mistake I made with this kick. Now I did in fact went into the right trajectory, but what I didn't do was that because I adjusted my aim by diamonds, I needed a bit more side spin. So notice how it clicked the short rail here and it widens its angle. So that's why it hit the 6 before the 2. Now had I had a little bit more right side spin, in this case it would have gone a bit wider and it would have hit the 2-ball back down towards the short rail. So that's a high percentage kick that I recognize that the pros are using. And of course, I have a system that allows you to get more consistent results like the kick and stick there. So unfortunately for me there, I got a ball in hand, or I gave up a ball in hand, and now I'm going to have to decide how I'm going to be running the rack. Now, here you can see another reasons why we're not really doing very well, why I am not doing very well, because a lot of the times, for example, that shot, I did not go through my pre-shot routine. Notice how quick I went down, and notice that delivery on the stroke, it wasn't all the way through. And you might think that this is not much, Apex. You are doing well, you are putting well, but when you talk about consistency at a high level, when you're aiming to be extremely precise, you have to take in account that the pre-shot routine is your best friend here. Now again, if you compare this particular shot here with the one I played before, you can see that I took a lot more warm-up strokes. But one thing that I didn't do, that I always do, is that I didn't go around and look at the precise angle that I needed on the 4 to get onto the 5. Now I definitely rushed this shot, and of course, as I said in one of my previous tutorials, that this shot has always been a plague in my game. In fact, the angle is so shallow, it requires a firm stroke, but it also requires a very accurate hit on the object ball and a clean hit on the cue ball as well. So I kind of let up on the stroke there a little bit. I wasn't decisive whether I want to come below the 5 or in between the 7 and the 8. And of course, when you are indecisive about the shot, you're often going to get yourself snookered. So I guess that's safe to say that's a pro tip for you there, something that I recently picked up during my practice session. Now again, here's another opportunity where you have to take the negative and turn it into positive. And this is based on your experience, your knowledge, your skill set, your shot repertoire. Once you have shots in your game, you're going to get good results like this. Now pay close attention to this freeze frame here, where you see that my intent, this particular shot, how it was executed was absolutely intentional. I wanted to kick the 5 on the left side here because I know that there would be an equal separation at a half ball hit here, and it will send the object ball down table while bringing the cue ball up table. Now I could get fortunate in terms of getting the 5 ball into the side, but still it would have given me a look. So it was a high percentage kick. That direction of the kick was a high percentage because, as you can see there, it bumped the 6 closer to the corner pocket. And if I had fortunately or fortuitously pocket the 5 ball, I would have got perfect position here on the 6 to somehow develop a plan to continue my run. So you can see a tap on the table there because of course that was a well executed shot here. Now, once again, guys, I find myself in situations like this where oftentimes on the pro level, you see where a pro is in this tough position, and I'm in practice here, so there's no pressure. However, when you get situations like this, you have to be very creative, but you also have to be very precise. Now, it is just recently that I recognized that the pros are very deliberate in where they're hitting the cue ball and where they're hitting the object ball, and they are very precise with their speed. So when you think that they get lucky, they're not getting lucky. They are very deliberate with what they're doing. For example, in this shot here where I played a half ball hit, well, I needed a quarter ball hit on that because my aim here was to keep the 5 ball down to the short rail and bring the cue ball up to this short rail here. But again, as I said, I got fortuitous here. Let's have a look at the replay. I needed a quarter ball hit, but I actually hit it about a half ball hit. So what happened here is that the cue ball's direction was wrong, but the speed was right. And so that's why I fortuitously get the hook. Now, of course, I still have to pat myself on the shoulder because it was well executed. But as I said, it was a little bit fortuitous here. Now again, tricky position. Couple of options are available for the kick here. I could kick into the short rail here and back down table, perhaps trying to make a ridiculous spot. But if I miss, it sells out the game. If I make it, I don't get a high percentage shot on the 6. So it's easier to kick 2 reels here. Now, at this hour of the night when I'm editing the video, this is when my IQ, my analysis IQ is at its peak. Now, here's what I'm looking at. After making this kick here, and it looks like a ball in, and let's slow it down a little bit here. I initially thought that it grazed the 5 coming in and hit it from behind, but it didn't. Now, I wasn't sure, so of course, here's what I had to say. So I initially thought that it wasn't a ball in hand. Now you can see that my facial expression here, I was very concerned because I like to play fair with myself. If it's a ball in hand, it's a ball in hand. However, though, I felt like I was going to just continue my run because the run would have possibly been a bit too easy. Me, because I think the 5 ball passes to the top left. So I decided to just take the position here. Now, again, I rushed this shot a bit. You can see that I didn't really go through my usual pre-shot routine, and I was trying to kick at the 2 reels, but I used a bit too much side spin, and so of course here I made gave up a ball in hand here. Again, as I said, guys, when you're kicking 2 reels at such an acute angle, spin, the amount of spin is the variable that you have to account for. So there again, as I said, give up a ball in hand, and now the table is open, and of course I should be able to capitalize. Now again, you can see that I didn't go through my usual pre-shot routine there on the replay. You can see that clearly there I kind of rushed the shot. Just took a few warm-up strokes, and even though I got position, guys, as I mentioned to you before, when it comes to playing consistently at a high level, the pros are very deliberate with everything that they do. If you notice, Fedor Gors, Shane Van Boening, Albin Ocean, Ko Ping Chung, Ko Ping Yi, the list goes on. These guys do the same thing every single time on every shot. Now, once again, as I said, this particular video is to highlight several things that you and I could possibly be doing wrong in our game. For example, here, I wasn't decisive. I didn't make up my mind about the speed. I kind of just knew that the cue ball was going to go in that direction, but I didn't account for the speed. So you notice how that the cue ball is floating exactly where I intended, but notice as it bumps off the rail here, it kind of dies off because I didn't use the right speed. Now, I didn't want to overroll and leave myself a bit awkward, hence why, as you can see here, I again went for the 7 ball. I knew the direction, but you can see I catch myself there. I kind of just run my cue through my fingers and just kind of get a feel for the shot. So I kind of was making a decision in between shots, in between stroke, and this is amateur level mistake here where you kind of go through the stroke based on experience, and then you often get position like this. So I feel like I made the rack the run of this rock after the ball in hand a little bit hard because I wasn't very precise with what I was doing. So definitely I have to write that down in my notes, that in my next practice session or in my next series of videos, definitely gonna have to dial down a little bit more on the consistency of my pre-shot routine here. Now again, because of my accuracy and my training, if you notice the preparation that goes in that shot, that was a beautiful execution there. Notice how I delivered the cue and I stayed down and my cue is straight and I didn't get up off the shot there until the object ball was deposited, and you can see how beautifully controlled it is and perfect position here. Again, I'm going to show you where a big mistake often happens sometimes, and you've seen it on the pro level where a pro lands perfectly on the 9 and they miss. Now this could be because of nerves, it could be because of excitement, it could be because of several things. Now notice here that it took about 5 seconds for me to just drop down on the 9. Just because the shot is easy doesn't mean that you're going to forget the pre-shot routine. So it's important, it's imperative, guys, that for each and every shot you have a consistent pre-shot routine. So definitely taking from this video is just taking a little bit more time. Sometimes we don't have good time management skills on the table, so it often shows in our game. So these are just some subtle things that I recognize in my game, and by extension I think that they might be in your game as well. So I do hope that you find value in this video, guys. If you have, then be sure to hit the subscribe button below, turn on your post notification bell, leave some positive questions and comments down below, and do not forget to share this out to your pool community. Let's continue to improve our game with precision, accuracy, consistency and control. Until next time, this is Apex Selenio signing out.